Hi, my name is Megan, and this is Everything Lit. Welcome back to my channel. Vino is here. Oh, look at that. Look at that boy. Yeet. He's gonna try and go back the other way now. Today, I'm bringing you the 5 most disappointing books of 2023 for me. Over the next couple days, I'm gonna do my final thoughts on several books. So today is disappointments, tomorrow is surprises, the 30th is least favorite books of the year, of which there will be 10, and on the 31st, last day of 2023, I will tell you about my 10 most favorite books of the year. There is a big difference between least favorite or didn't enjoy it, and disappointing. And so these 5 will not be on my least favorite list of the year, but they were disappointments. And I'm going to talk about why. Why did these disappoint me? Because I had such high hopes. So number 5, one of the most disappointing books of the year for me was The Invisible Life of Addie Laroo by V.E. Schwab. Now, I gave this 4 stars. I did really enjoy a lot of it, but it was disappointing when I got to the ending. The way that this ended disappointed me. It was ambiguous. It was almost not in line with the character. It was not what I, as the reader, wanted for Addie Laroo. As much as I loved exploring the world through her eyes and how she gets around. So basically, Addie Laroo, our main character, makes a deal with the devil at like 17 that she can live forever, but no one will ever remember her. So as soon as she leaves the room or the other person leaves the room, they don't remember her. So every interaction, blank slate, has to start over, which means she can't keep an apartment. She can't keep a bank account. She has nothing and no one. And she lives for like, I think we go through like 250 years or more in the span of this book. And there was a lot that was so interesting and so good, but there is the devil character who makes the deal with her kind of like pops in every now and then, and that dynamic was really cool and interesting, but I just feel like I wanted more from it. I wanted it to be what I wanted and not what it was. This all felt kind of, I don't want to say random, but the plot, it felt like a very character introspective, exploratory story, and I really enjoyed that. And then in the last, 100 pages, it felt like the author had gone, oh wait, it needs a plot, it needs like adventure, it needs a plot, and threw in, a bunch of last minute shenanigans. And I was disappointed in that. Yeah, Vino, me too. So that is why this is on my list. Number 4 on this list is Radiant Sin by Katie Robert. I love Katie Robert. I love all her books, but this one kind of disappointed me. Now, I did listen to this on audio primarily, and I think that's the first of this series that I have listened to on audio. That may have had an effect on how I feel about it, but Wicked Beauty, the 3rd in the Dark Olympus series, was my favorite so far. And then to get to this one, kind of a letdown. So that's why it is number 4 on my list of disappointing reads for this year. The Dark Olympus series is loosely inspired by the Greek gods, and in this world, the Greek gods are like positions basically that you can either inherit or you have to get elected to. The first book is about Persephone and Hades, and I liked it. I've liked all of them up until this one. So this is about Apollo and Cassandra. And of course, these are very, very loosely based on Greek mythology. But Apollo in this world is the like spy master. He's like the right hand to Zeus and helps like he's like the police force kind of in this world. So he does like security for the Big 12 and whatever. And Cassandra is his secretary. So it's a bit of a workplace romance, but they are also like fake dating at this party. And this party has like a bunch of games. And then it becomes a murder mystery. And I just feel like none of the elements were done to their full potential. The murder mystery party was mediocre. The sex scenes were okay. I just feel like I wasn't into their dynamic. And for someone who's like the spy master and knows all the things behind the scenes of this city, he really felt kind of clueless compared to Cassandra, our main character. And I feel like there had to have been a better way to show that he was a good spy master while also showing that she knows what she's doing and is good at her job as well. A lot of the elements in this didn't work for me. I hope that the next one is better. Number 3 on this list is a book that I don't own. I got it from the library, and that is A Spell for Trouble by Esme Addison. This is a cozy mystery, but it's a cozy paranormal, and I'm learning through this book that I don't jive with cozy paranormals. I don't think I like them. This is about a woman who is estranged from her family because her father didn't want her to know her like witchy magical relatives, and after her mother died, he just kind of sequestered her away. And in this, she is in her 20s. She's going back to her mother's hometown and meeting her aunt and her cousins, working at their soap shop, but their soap is also like magical because they're witches, and our main character is learning about her powers and her abilities. But also someone gets murdered after buying something from the shop, and her aunt like made a big scene and threatened him, and then he turns up dead. So her aunt is a suspect, and she and her cousin are trying to like solve the mystery. And this book did a lot of things right. It was well written. The powers that they have come from the sea. They are kind of playing with immigration and the Mermaid of Warsaw myths, and the magic was good. I don't think I like paranormal cozies because the mystery aspect that I'm invested in, like when you have magic in a world, it feels like the mystery can be solved too easily. They like did a spell at one point to like see who the murderer was, but the murderer had to have been a witch as well because they cloaked themselves. And how can I as the reader put the pieces together and kind of like solve the mystery with what they find if we don't know the paranormal like world, we don't know who's a witch and who's not? It just didn't work for me, and it is disappointing. That's why it's on this list. So I gave it 3 stars. It was just okay as a cozy mystery, and I don't know if I'm going to pick up the sequel, and I don't know if I'm going to pick up any more cozy paranormal mysteries. I think I have 1 or 2 on my shelf somewhere, and if I've bought it, I'll try to read it, but I think I need to slow down. I need to not buy any more of those. Number 2 on the list is The Lost Girls by Sonia Hartle. This was really disappointing to me because I just wanted it to be more, right? So this is about a girl who got turned into a vampire at the age of 17 by a boy, and she's been following him around for the last like 50 years. And then he left her on the side of the road and went back to their hometown to find another girl to change because he got tired of her. And he has a pattern of doing this. So the other 2 girls that he has done this to find our main character, convince her to team up with them to save the new girl that he has his sights on and end his hold over them. Because in this world, vampires are kind of tied to their makers, so they have to be within a radius of him, which means they just have to follow him around and they have no control over where he goes, and like they cannot leave. On the one hand, there's such an interesting exploration of being stuck at 16 forever. I think that is the one thing that this book does really well, and like how much that would suck to be a teenager forever, to never be taken seriously, to never grow up, to never like be able to not only be treated as an adult by society, but to like mentally grow up. However, if you watched my wrap up or any of the videos where I talked about this, the vampire aspect was severely underutilized. They could walk in the sunlight, and it felt like them being vampires was just like a way to make them like quirky. I'm a quirky girl. With my kills, I take their body parts and do art projects with them. I'm a quirky girl because I bring my lunch home and keep it in my bed and then eat it. Like, the characterization was so slim. It was so shallowly done, and I'm sad. I'm sad. And the romance was okay, but it wasn't, you know, earth-shattering. It wasn't, I was like kind of rooting for it, but if our main character is a vampire and she's falling in love with this human girl that the other guy is also falling in, well, he's not falling in love, that the other guy is using, like, it feels like the end game is always going to be bad because either she becomes a vampire or she can't stay with her person. So, like, I just wish that the vampirism in this book was more true to original lore, and I wish that the characterization had been better. I did give this 3 stars. Like, it was okay, but I was really disappointed because I wanted it to be a 5-star. And finally, my most disappointing book of the year is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I know, I'm hearing booing in my head from all the Sarah J. Maas stans, but I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. But the way people talk about this series and the way the Sarah J. Maas train is just going so fast, I thought this was going to be so much better than it was. This is the first in a series about a famous assassin who is pulled out of prison to compete in the King's Games, and she's basically competing to be the King's assassin or the King's champion so that she can do dirty jobs behind the scenes for the King instead of against the King. What in the early 2010s kind of love triangle pretty girl bullshit is this? Like, Selena Sardothian, she's like, I want to look pretty in pretty dresses and candy, and I'm so deadly. But, like, when do we see that? I guess in the competition a little bit, but also the relationship between her and the guard was not built well. I mean, I guess that one was built better than the one between her and the prince. And, like, I just can't. I don't have the words to describe how disappointed I was in how twee this is. I have not read A Court of Thorns and Roses in a while, so maybe my memory of it is like better than it actually is. But let me tell you, this ain't it. And I know it's her first book. I'm gonna continue with the series, see how the second book is, see if it gets better. But oh boy, the way the plot just, it was too long. It was too long. So some of her competitors start getting murdered, and not just murdered, but like ripped to shreds and like chunks taken out of them. And these people like they're investigating, but like there's no urgency to it. And there's a lot of like girl on girl hate in this, right? Like there's a rival for the prince's affections, and she's like, oh, this new girl is taking his attention from me. And it was very 2010s YA, and I'm past that. I'm older than that. So this was my most disappointing read of the year because I expected it to be some phenomenal, amazing thing like A Court of Thorns and Roses, and it wasn't. Yeah, it was disappointing. Those were my 5 most disappointing reads of 2023. I had high hopes and they let me down, unfortunately. But thank you for watching. If you want to know what my most surprising books of the year are, you can come back tomorrow and I'll tell you. If you like this video, you could click that like button. You could subscribe, but really, you can do whatever you want. And I'll see you tomorrow.